You grow up in a river town outside Philadelphia, where the whole neighborhood runs on a 9-day wait. That's how long it takes for a paycheck to actually become money you can spend. Work Monday, get paid the following Wednesday, and somewhere in that gap, your rent is already late. Your father works the docks. Not steady, dispatch. He shows up at 5 a.m. and stands with 40 other men waiting to hear his name called off a clipboard. Some mornings it isn't. He comes home and doesn't say anything about it, and you learn not to ask. Your mother is a home health aide. She works every day of the week and gets paid every other Friday, which means there are 12 days a month where she's worked and hasn't been paid for it yet. And the math of that never once stops being the whole shape of your childhood. You share a bunk bed with your sister, Dee, until you're 14. You build the frame yourselves out of shipping pallets your father brings home, because the store-bought kind cost $1,100 for something plywood already does for free. Every August, your mother sits at the kitchen table with a calculator and the school supply list and does the same subtraction she does all year, just with different numbers attached to it. You watch her round down instead of up every single time, and you understand before you have the words for it that rounding down is its own kind of skill. The corner store on your block cashes checks for $1.50 over face value, because the nearest bank branch is 3 bus transfers away and everybody knows it. You watch your mother hand over that $1.50 more times than you can count. And somewhere around age 9, you understand, without anyone explaining it to you, that being broke has its own tax and only broke people pay it. You are quiet and you are relentless about numbers. Your teacher, Mr. Okafor, catches you rederiving compound interest formulas in the back of a notebook meant for vocabulary words. He tells your mother you have a systems brain. He means it kindly. You hear it as a diagnosis of exactly how far you have to go. By 16, you're reading about payment rails and clearing systems instead of anything assigned to you, trying to understand why it takes your mother's own money 9 days to reach her when a text message reaches someone across the planet in under a second. Your father's knee finally gives out on a loading ramp on a Wednesday in October. No settlement, no severance, just no more dispatch calls with his name on them. Dinner that night is quiet in the specific way a house gets quiet when everyone's doing the same math at the same time and nobody wants to say the total out loud. It's 2025. You are 25. You dropped out 2 years in, not because you failed, but because every class was teaching you how to be useful to somebody else's company, and you'd already decided you'd rather own the pipes than rent a desk inside them. You're in a shared apartment outside Pittsburgh with 2 roommates you barely see. You've spent the last 14 months building something you call the Undertow. Not an app, no logo, nothing you'd screenshot. It's a settlement layer. Here's the actual problem it solves. Gig platforms, home health agencies, doc unions, none of them pay same day, because moving real money between real banks costs time and fees every single time it happens. So everyone gets paid on a delay, and the delay is where payday lenders and check cashing counters make their entire living. The Undertow doesn't move money faster. It stops moving most of it at all. It nets what a platform owes its workers against what's flowing back in from customers that same day, and only settles the actual difference overnight. 90% of the payment never has to travel anywhere. You charge 0.4 of a cent per worker, per day for that. You post it to 3 developer forums on a Friday night with $34 in your checking account and a stomach that hasn't had anything in it since noon. You fall asleep on a mattress on the floor because the frame's still in a box. You wake up Sunday to your phone buzzing itself off the nightstand. A payroll processor out of Singapore integrated it overnight without emailing you first. By mid-morning, a grocery chain in Mexico City plugs it in for their 11,000 hourly workers. Nobody asked permission. The fee was too small to bother asking about, and the savings were too obvious to wait on a sales call. By 4 p.m., your server's been rebooted 6 times just to keep up. By midnight, you check the wallet where the fee revenue's been accumulating. $1.4 billion. You sit on the edge of the mattress for maybe 90 seconds with just that number and nothing else in the room. And it is, without competition, the best 90 seconds of your life so far. Then the buzzing starts. You cross into 11 figures, still wearing the same socks you slept in, before you've eaten a real meal, before you've told a single person. You don't get much longer than that to enjoy it. By the time you've pulled on real pants, there are already 2 SUVs parked outside that don't belong to anyone you know. Private security, not police, the kind that shows up once you cross a threshold where your continued existence becomes somebody's actuarial concern. You're moved to a high floor of a hotel downtown where every elevator needs a key card and the air conditioning is so aggressive the room has no smell at all. You buy your parents a house with a real driveway and a kitchen with a range that costs more than your father made in 3 years on the docks. You think this is the part where it's fixed. It isn't. Your mother keeps making coffee in the same $12 drip machine she's had since you were in middle school, packed in a box between the movers and the new granite counters. She still drives 40 minutes back to get her hair done by the woman who's done it since 2011, because switching now would feel like erasing something she isn't ready to erase. Your father uses the black card exactly once, on a new tackle box, and then goes back to the Union Hall parking lot at 5 a.m. anyway. Not for dispatch, just to stand there with the other men while they wait. You realize the money was never actually what he needed fixed. The waiting had turned into who he was, and you'd just taken away his reason to keep doing it without giving him anything to replace it. Dee is the only one who doesn't change how she talks to you. She still calls when her Wi-Fi drops and expects you to fix it over the phone like you're still the same person who slept 4 feet above her for a decade. It's the only conversation all year that doesn't feel like it's being conducted through glass. You go looking for a version of your life that doesn't already know the number. You end up at a bar with a broken jukebox on a street you picked because nobody there looks like they'd recognize you. You meet Naomi. She's a credit counselor who spends her days walking gig workers through exactly the kind of payday trap your childhood ran on, and she is furious about it in a way that feels more honest than anything you've heard in months. For most of a month, you're Eli, a freelance back-end developer between contracts. You do laundromat nights and dollar slice pizza and thrift store trivia on Tuesdays. You talk for hours about how the system's rigged against people who can't afford to wait 9 days for their own money. It's the first thing that's felt real since the number changed. Then you go back to her place. Her water heater's been out for 11 days. Her landlord keeps saying Thursday. You do the math instantly, without meaning to. Parts, labor, a rush fee, maybe $600 total, and you could fix this from your phone in the time it takes her to make tea. The thought scares you more than the number ever did. You're not sitting across from her anymore. You're running her life through a spreadsheet in your head, looking for the line item you could delete. Your detail finds you there 2 nights later. They explain, in front of her, that your unscheduled movement has left a gap in your coverage they need to close immediately. She looks at the men in the doorway, then at your phone on her counter, brand new, still wearing a strip of factory plastic on one corner because you've never once worried about cracking it. Wait, she sets her mug down. You're Undertow. I'm still the same person, you try. No, she says. You didn't get rid of the weight. You just made it quiet enough that people stopped fighting it. She doesn't ask you for anything. She just asks you to go. It's 2026. You are 26. You're on the 62nd floor of a building that used to be a competitor and is now, functionally, a landlord. The banks and payroll giants who lost billions in float income when the Undertow launched didn't fight you for long. They bought a seat at your table instead, and once they were sitting there, the table stopped being yours. You hold a title, Head of Global Access. That means you can propose changes and 12 people you don't fully trust can vote them down. Turn the fee off entirely, and 40 million gig workers go back to waiting 9 days for money they already earned. Because the payroll companies who now depend on your float can't function without it either. Raise their pay share instead, and the credit unions holding that float as reserve capital take a hit that ripples into accounts belonging to people who've never heard of you. You built a way to make the 9-day wait disappear. Now you sit on the board that decides how much of it comes back. The hunger that used to feel like fuel just makes you sick to your stomach now, most days. Somewhere in a training video you didn't approve, they use your face and your childhood as the pitch. Proof that any kid on any dock in any river town can build something like this, if they just work hard enough at the right thing. You understand, finally, that the story was never dangerous to the system. It was useful to it. You're not the exception that threatens the rule. You're the raffle ticket they wave at everyone who will never win it. You fly home, not to the new house, to the old block. The docks run half the shifts they used to. The corner store that used to cash checks is a vape shop now. The number 9 bridge, the drawbridge everyone in town has hated their whole life, still lifts twice an hour for barge traffic. Same as it always did. There's a kid sitting near the footings, maybe 12, flip phone open, timing something with the stopwatch function. Checking how long the wait is? You ask. He doesn't look up. Wait's not the problem. Nobody who runs this bridge cares how long it takes to lift. I'm checking who's stuck paying for the delay. The truck's idling. The guy who's late for his shift because of it. Somebody always eats the time. I'm just writing down who. You take off the watch you're wearing, the one worth more than your father made most years on the docks, and you use it to time the next lift yourself. 41 seconds. Same number the kid got off a phone that's been obsolete for a decade. The bridge doesn't care what's on your wrist. It never did. Somewhere behind you, on a server you technically still control but no longer fully own. 40 million payments clear on schedule tonight, exactly like they would if you weren't standing here at all. You put the watch back on. You don't say anything else to the kid. You just stay long enough to watch the bridge come back down, the way it always does, whether or not anybody's counting.